Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this week's Mental Monday. Now, you might be asking, why are you right by Alan? Because we are going to talk about a topic that very much has to do with him, and Max, and Sirius, and kind of everybody. And that topic is behavior modification. Now, most people think of behavior modification in the sense of animals. I showed how I have Max treat trained, where he'll sit, he'll lay down, he'll come to a treat. The come to a treat part isn't really that difficult, especially for Max, but you know. I used treats as the reward. I had a friend of mine that was a dog trainer help me to start, and I definitely want to take it further, and I for sure want to do more, but that's a whole other discussion. The idea of behavior modification is very much based on rewards and punishments and stimuli, and it's a behavioral science concept that gets a lot of bad connotation as far as being manipulative and controlling, but when you apply it correctly, it's really not. It's really very simple. It's really just teaching and training and guiding. Now, the reason this has to do with Alan, which I really hope he doesn't start screaming his face off while I'm sitting here, but that's part of the discussion. Alan is a very different experience for me. I'm not used to birds. I had never had a bird before we got Norbert, and I had really only ever known animal training in the sense of dogs. I understood that. I'd done that, I knew that. With birds, you are kind of still training them, and you are also exerting a certain amount of guidance. And you have to establish yourself as kind of the authority. And in that sense, you're showing them what behavior is acceptable, what behavior is not acceptable, and what's expected and what's normal, and you're gaining their trust in that so that they want to do what you want them to do, and they see your presence as a reward. They're not afraid of you. That's not the goal of behavior modification when applied correctly. And this kind of has to do with applied behavioral analysis, because the whole idea is you're observing, you're evaluating, you're making some kind of assessments and observations about what might be good, what behaviors you want to kind of end, and what behaviors you might want to build up. So, for instance, with Alan, we are wanting to work on getting him more used to being on our hand and stepping up. If you guys remember when we had Norbert, I did that with him constantly to get him used to stepping up from one finger to the other. And that meant that after a while, if I nudged my finger on his tummy, he would step up on my finger. It became a natural instinct for him. He was very, very used to it. And he knew that that's what it meant, that that's what I wanted him to do when I did that. And he knew he got treats. And all of those things, it's not manipulation, but it's guidance. It's teaching, it's training, it's showing what behaviors you want and showing what behaviors are not acceptable to you. Now, if you know anything about bigger birds, well, birds in general, but the little birds, like Norbert, he could peck, he could kind of nip, but he couldn't really do any damage. He was so little. He couldn't actually have broken skin or anything. Alan, if Alan bites, that's a bigger deal. That's gonna hurt worse. It's gonna bleed. He's a much bigger deal. He's a much bigger bird. He can do a lot more damage. Now, he's not the biggest parrot, but he's still significantly bigger than Norbert. And this is my first experience with it. So we're wanting to work more on some of those behaviors, kind of showing what we don't want and showing what we do want. So we want him to get more comfortable being on our hand. We want him to trust us. We want all of those things to be able to happen, to be able to have a safe and secure and nice relationship with him. And I don't like the idea of having to keep him in his cage all the time if Andrew's not home. And I would like to feel good about taking him out on my own and feeling confident that I know how to handle him. And that is behavior modification. That's a perfect example of it. So I'm not going to do anything like examples today, but I thought I'd kind of give a little intro to the topic in case I show any of that process. I'm not totally sure what's going to happen with that, and I'm not totally sure what we're going to end up doing, but I thought I would kind of broach that topic and see if you guys had any experience doing behavior modification with animals, or even yourself, to be perfectly honest, because I have to say, it can kind of work on you too. It's not just an animal thing. That's just what we end up using it the most on. It can also be in how you're training your children. It can go into a lot of different areas. So I just thought I'd intro that. I thought I would get your guys' experiences. I would love to hear stories of you guys having ever used these concepts. If you have, I would love to hear about it. And if you guys have any specific ideas or questions related to behavior modification, I would love to hear that as well. And I hope this was interesting to you. I hope you liked it. It's a bit of a fun, kind of lighthearted Mental Monday, which I thought was good. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share it with everybody. And make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!